Hello and welcome to tonight's Character Select Podcast, Content Creator Edition. I am your host, Gems, and today's characters are your following. We have, as our first character, Gosu Tekken. Everyone knows him, everyone loves him. He is known as David as well, responsible for some of the best Facebook content out there and interviews with some of the best Tekken player and pros. We've seen him, we've watched all his videos and his intros, and we all love him, and I'm very glad to have him. And if we're looking at this next character after that, who is our second character for today? It is none other than Tendo XI. You guys know him, you love his videos, and you know all the robotic voices you can hear over the top of my introduction. His introduction to nature videos and spicy memes, and finally, for our third and best sort of Tekken instructional videos, I believe is what I should say, we have the Blasted Salami. And of course, he brings huge character in-depth videos on YouTube for all varieties of characters, some ranging for 2-hour videos. I believe one of his Yoshimitsu is over 2 hours long, going into full depth of every single frames, data, situations, and when to use abilities, and providing some amazing content for the Tekken community. So then once again, let's welcome everyone to the Content Creators Character Select Podcast.
Hey guys. Hey, thanks for letting us on.
Yeah, cheers.
I gotta say there's a faint echo.
Yeah, I think that's coming from you, I believe.
I'm using my headphones, so it shouldn't be. Are you using your headphones?
Yeah, it's all headphones.
All headphones? Okay.
Don't think it is. It's probably just a mic picking it up, but it doesn't seem too bad. So.
Okay, cool.
All right.
How are you guys doing today? Then I've given you guys an intro. I've kind of explained. I've got a few mistakes on the overlay. Oh well. So while I'm doing that, I'm gonna jump straight into the first topic of today. So, as content creators, you have sort of a goal you guys like to achieve with the purpose for your content. I'd like just to go through sort of what you guys' aims are as content creators.
Who's going first?
So I'm going to start with Tendo and go in order. So Tendo is number 2 position.
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock's top tier. Oh, whatever. Tendo, go for it.
If I'm honest, really, I don't think I've actually never had a goal, to be honest. I just it's just because how I started doing it for bands, and then it's just escalated into something I'm really proud to have. So I'm hoping just maybe one day get 100K or something like that. That would be really, really cool. But for now, I guess that's my goal. I'm gonna try and obviously be one of the most influential people in the. Let me not say influential, more known people in the community, stuff like that. Just helping people around and make people laugh.
Oh, that's honestly very helpful, especially with promoting the game and as well as providing some great sort of humor for people to make jokes about. That's always the best when you go to watch and you go, did you see that Tendo video? He made that joke about Lars's 12th frame nonsense before it got.
Yeah. I love that. Why did I take that? You know what? Yeah.
I'm just saying. I love that.
If he still had that, yeah, you see me on Tekken every day.
And so next, of course, we have is Salami. You provide some of the most in-depth tutorials I think on YouTube right there. With, I think hours long. What's your goal? What's your aim out of creating these videos?
Tekken's hard. I remember when I got into Tekken, I just it was very intimidating to get into. I first tried to get into it competitively in the arcades with Tekken 5, Tekken 6, and it literally took years to get to a level where I felt comfortable, confident that I understood what was going on in the game. And I really wanted for new players to make that journey a bit easier, because I love Tekken, but it doesn't make it easy. It's a very off-putting game for beginners, and I think the game even miseducates new players. You go into training mode, and you do something that's not a combo, and the combo counter will say that's a combo. stuff like that. You know, where do you start? You have to go through reams of forums and bits of information here and there. So I just wanted it all to be in one place, organized, and yeah, just help people get into Tekken, basically. Just to sum it up.
Yeah, obviously, I think you've been great help. I've honestly looked at your videos when I've been learning Tekken, because it is a fairly new game for me personally. So obviously, looking through content, I do agree completely with your points. With the stuff you've been providing, and that's been awesome to have. And of course, we have a slightly different content creator here with Gosu, with the Facebook groups and the interviews with players, which is also. I'll let you talk about that a little bit. So
Yeah, sure. I usually don't call myself Gosu Tekken though, so it's kind of fun to hear it like that. I usually go on the.
We know you're known by David or whatever.
Yeah, LD Maxi
LD
works.
Max,
Yeah. So I don't see myself as a content creator actually. I did some combo videos many years ago, but just for fun, you know. And I kind of noticed quite fast that people were more interested in other people's content than my own. So I thought, okay, I can kind of like help and provide content. So I'm more of a, maybe I would say, content provider. I don't know what I would call it. So a long time ago, I did my FTP where I just I had my connections in Korea, so I could like share all the awesome Korean Tekken matches. So, but then when YouTube came, it kind of didn't make sense anymore. So, but then I was living in Korea, and it made sense to share the real life action from Green Arcade.
Yeah.
So I've always been the kind of person that has wanted to share what has not been readily accessible. So I just want to kind of, you asked me what my goal is. My goal is to kind of push the evolution all the time, to just keep pushing the frontier forward and try to deliver what isn't easy to find.
Yeah, we can see that every time when we see your videos with the players. I think you recently had one with Rip, and I think JDCR as well recently. You provide content people don't necessarily see, don't have access to. You also provide something a lot of people really underestimate, which is you bring out personalities. So you give players and people involved in the scene a chance to show off who they are, which I think goes vastly undone in terms of, we're talking about like generic stream tournament content. A lot of that might get lost because you don't see every single player play, you don't get to see them talk or explain who they are as a person. And I quite enjoy that sort of angle.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is a narrative we're doing.
Yeah.
If you're watching tournament matches, that's of course interesting from one point of view, but when it's really interesting, that's when you feel something for these people. I mean, I can't tell you how exciting it is for me to watch all these videos, because they're pretty much all my friends. Like, I know all of them personally, so I'm like, oh, who am I gonna root for here? Oh, I hope this guy wins. No, actually not. Oh, like, I'm kind of like going back and forward. So it's I think I'm in a very unique position because I have such a kind of like vast network of friends from Korea.
Yeah, I do agree. But Blasted?
So how long did you spend in Korea?
About 2 years.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
in Seoul?
Yeah, in Seoul. But the thing was that I didn't have a visa actually, so I had to go out in and out of the country every 90 days. So instead of like, I tried to make that into a positive. So I just went to Japan like a couple of times, and China, and started exploring
around.
Yeah, just took the opportunity, So I have like a lot of friends in China as well, and like I really kind of explored that area, like the different scenes and all that stuff.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So
it's so sad to hear about Green Arcade closing in stores.
Yeah.
Just today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned Green Arcade, and I was instantly just like, rip. Like, you can see all over Twitter.
Yeah. But it was very expected. It's just and in a way it's a very, very positive thing. It just means that we're taking the next step, and we're that's so cool with this whole Tekken story that we're in, is that we're always like going forward, and we can't really grab onto the past, It's just keeps going forward.
I agree.
And we're seeing that with everyone's content, all the the improvement in quality of videos, information being consolidated into easy bites by Blasted. You're providing on the tournament scenes.
Just call me Arya. Just call me Arya.
Arya? Cool.
Yeah. I say the channel. I'm Arya.
It's more. That's what people know you as. So I'm calling what the viewers would call you as.
No worries.
Yeah,
Arya.
Alright, cool. It's just a little bit easier. So, what I do want to talk about, I think this is something I think all three of you guys will have sort of a different approach to, is the concept of from an idea for a video to the actual creation of it. So, because you're all slightly different content creators, I suspect you guys have different paths to get to that end goal, where you have a video on YouTube that is from, I think, steps. What I'm talking about is steps like, okay, with Tendo, okay, I've got a joke. How do I then grab the video, etc.? But that's the point I'm trying to make. So I will let Tendo go on about that part a little bit.
Like literally, like you have an idea. Like I can say within the school, like we've all, as you said, produced like very different approaches to video, stuff like that. With Arya with his tutorials, Gosu with his interviews, and with my editing. But like with editing, it's like it's so, let me not say difficult, but it's challenging because you have an idea, you're like, all right, cool, and then you put the idea down, you make the like one part, and I'm like, all right, cool, what can I do next? And you keep doing that again and again and again with the memes. Let's say what I do is, like, as you can see with my videos in the past, I just play a lot of Tekken, I put on my PC, I hop to Sony Vegas, I'm like, what am I gonna do with it? Because no one likes seeing plain old footage, because anyone can just put footage on YouTube, if you know what I mean. Anyone can just get a match they've played and slap it on YouTube, but you gotta do, like, be very unique with how you do it. That's why I try to be very like funny and entertaining with the way I do it, but not funny to things people have seen before, but just try and step up each time you do it. Because the mentality I have when I make videos is that when I make something, I'm like, okay, how could I make this better than the last one? Because I can't put the same joke in twice. I can't put the same meme. Like I can put the same meme in, but I have to make it slightly different, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I can't just keep using the same. It'll be dry. It'll be repetitive.
Last video number 10.
No one will like it. But
the production on your video, videos is so good though. It's so good. I'm always impressed when I see your videos. It's just yeah, I aspire to get to that level of editing. It's really on point.
Thank you very much, man. But literally, like, cause I'll say right now it's different to how I was when I first started. Because when I first started, it was literally at a time where nobody else was doing what I was doing. The only other person that was doing it was Arsenal Time. Of course, at that time, like even now, he's still at the top of the game. But literally, like what I had a laptop, I had Xbox 360 Tekken, I switched to PS3 later, and I had Windows Movie Maker. But I just said, you know what, let me firm it, let me work with what I've got. And then literally I just did that. And then over time, I was still getting a good amount of attention with what I still had, like Windows Live Movie Maker quality videos. And then I got Vegas last year, thanks to my friend, and he literally, like, he said, yeah, this is how you edit, this is how you do specific things. And a lot of people told me how to do things. I watched a lot of tutorials and stuff like that, and then it just developed into something, like, things became so much easier to do, if you know what I mean. Editing became much more clearer. I enjoyed it more because I could do a lot more with what I had. Although time-wise, it's difficult, but if I put the time into it, it can become good. Like, sometimes I'll just be doing whatever, and an idea will come to my head. Like, for example, the other day I was just chilling in class, and then an idea came to my head, and I just started, like, creasing for no reason. I was laughing my head off. People like, what are you doing, man? I was like, nah, it's calm, it's sports time. And I just, after school, I'd just go home. I'd make sure I have that idea right in my notes or something, and then I'll go home, I'll bust on Sony Vegas, and then it's calm. I just do it, try my best, and then
I have to ask, what's with the voice?
Alright.
as in
Here's
the
what it is.
The voice in the videos.
Yeah. When I started, I wanted to be as anonymous as, but not anonymous, but like, oh yeah, I basically wanted to be anonymous, and then you know, I literally just kept with it because it was something that people had like recognized me for, stuff like that. Because remember when I first started, I was in year 9. I was 14, turning 15. My voice was, hey, yeah, it was so high pitched. I was like, nah, no one's taking me seriously. Let's be real, nobody is taking me seriously. So I said, you know what? Let me just let me use this. It sounds funnier. No one will take me seriously, but it sounds funnier than hearing some young kid trying to explain things in Tekken. Like, I say that's a quick dislike. I'll tell you that now, fam. But yeah. But with editing, one thing that makes me value like my kind of videos is that the time it takes is long. Not the actual editing process itself, but thinking what you're gonna do. There's times where I've just sat on Sony Vegas and like literally I'm just sitting in my seat, I'm thinking what am I gonna do, and it's like I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of SpongeBob or whatever, but literally I think Squidward has an like he's trying to do something but he doesn't know what it is, and you can see him do so many things, like go shop with the same facial expression thinking what's he gonna do. Literally that was me. One day I woke up in the morning trying to think. I think this one when I'm making my Snakey O'Brien video, I was trying to think what am I gonna put, and I didn't know how was I gonna start. I didn't know. I went to the park. I didn't know. I went out to eat. I didn't know. I come back, still didn't know. Wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh, now I know, and it's gone.
That was a journey.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm
Yeah.
just teasing you a little bit, but of course, I think it's going to differ a lot. I think if we could jump over to Arya, I suspect he's gonna have a completely different approach because his is more informative. I respect you agreeing with me.
Sure. I mean, when we up until now, it's been a matter of which character do we want to cover next.
Yeah.
And we have to take lots of things into consideration. One of those considerations is who are people asking for? People always in comments like, do Devil Jin, do Feng, whatever. The biggest factor is who do we have a good script for? Hold on. My cat just came. Hey. So who do we have a good script for? So
Hey.
sorry,
It's King.
King. Right. So and yeah, because basically one of the ideas with that Blasted Salami was to kind of gather. It's impossible for one person to be able to go into such detail for every character. So one idea with Blasted Salami was to get all the information from the community and put it all in one place in these neatly edited videos where you could just watch them and you could soak in all the information without having to troll through forums and whatnot. So yeah, it's like, do we have the script ready and who are people asking for, basically. From here, I mean, our videos, the past couple of videos we've done have been extremely long. They've been 2 hours plus, and those take hundreds and hundreds of hours to create. So actually from here, we're going to go back to the essentials format. Video is going to be about 20 minutes to 40 minutes. But we had a bunch of essentials videos in the works, and then Namco Bandai kind of dropped a bombshell and said, hey, here's season 2. It's out next week. Enjoy. I'm like, oh. So basically, we haven't actually uploaded anything for 2 months, and people are like, well, what's going on? This should be the time when you're uploading, and I think the internet moves so fast, and a lot of YouTube channels are like, okay, season 2 this, tier list here, these character this character that. We've been sitting down and trying to absorb all this information for season 2 because there's a lot to take in. And actually, I just finished this 40+ page document with the help of a few, really high level players, Fergus, Dinosaur. And we've all sat down, we've written this document, and it's like basically it's writing the script before a movie, and that's kind of all of our videos are scripted, and we try to make sure they're well researched and everything that goes into them is as accurate as can be. So actually there's a lot of content coming out soon. We're going to do a little changes video for each character, and actually that script, that 40 page plus script, is going to I'm going to put on Twitter maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. so everyone can read it and offer their own feedback. So yeah, there's a lot on the way.
Cool.
And of course, that leads us with Gosu, or I should call you LD Max.
LD Max, yeah. Wow, I just gotta say, I have such a huge and deep respect for what you guys do. Like, it's crazy. I feel like I shouldn't even be here on this show. Kind of like that. You know, my creation process, it's just been about like I really want to watch these Korean videos, and then when I watch them, I can kind of relate to everyone else that wants to watch them, so I just share them, you know.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I didn't plan to make a YouTube channel when I was in Korea. I just stood there watching. I remember the exact point, actually. There was this death match between How and Only Practice, and they played for hours and hours and hours. And at a certain time, I was like, it was like almost in the middle of the night. I was there. It was just me watching this, and I was like, how many people wouldn't kill to see this? So it just felt like such a waste to stand there and watch it alone. So of course I took out my camera and just started filming it. And at the time I was kind of active on the Tekken Saibatsu forum, so I thought like, hey, that should be enough. I'm just gonna put it on YouTube and then I'll announce it. And like a lot of people started coming in, and after that I had to like figure out how to record like the whole workflow, how to be able to record so long and be able to upload it fast, because I had the crappiest computer on the planet, you know. So I started actually making a lot of like scripts, so it could like I could like feed it a lot of videos, and it would just cut them and edit them automatically and upload them automatically. So that was just a very fun thing to experiment with, like how much can I automate this. And then after a while I thought like maybe I could try to rebrand this and see if that works. So I made this intro, and I just started calling it the Gosu Tekken, you know, and it became a weekly show. So, but it wasn't much more than that. And the same thing for the interviews. It's just, I just want an excuse to be able to ask all these questions. Like, I would have done it if I could have done it with these people, I would have done it. But it would probably have been weird for them to just do it with me, right? So I have to like give them the excuse, like, yeah, this is, other people are gonna watch this as well. So it's that's kind of my creation process. I just go for what I like and what I want, and then I just share it.
Yeah, so I was going to quickly ask, with your interviews, how do you decide which person's going to be interviewed next? Is it based on recent events, or is it just people you've messaged out and will respond?
It's just my personal taste.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm a very good friend of JDCR, and we talk online, and I just feel like this would be a fun thing to do, and his English has gotten a lot better, and I know that his mind and his way of expressing himself matches with how people understand. Like, people can if he puts something out there, people will understand it, you know. So if I did it with someone else that I'm a good friend with, maybe Nee, for instance, then we would need to hire an interpreter, and I don't feel like I want to spend the time and money for that, you know. So I don't think the flow would be the same either. So it just feels natural. And then after that, I started contacting a lot of people in the US, because I wanted to make it global. So I just watched videos, and I thought like, yeah, Joey Fury, perfect. Let's talk with him. And then I just noticed how happy he was to do it. So that was like, oh, okay, let's keep doing it. And then to complete that, I was like, okay, let's find something completely different from Europe. And so I watched Fergus. I saw his awkward handshake, and I thought, yeah, gotta have that guy. Why not, you know? So there's really not there. It's not like a deep analytical thing. It's more like, hey, I want to do this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's very contrasting between you guys. It's very interesting as well, because I suspect a lot of people probably don't realize that from the outside. It just looks like you guys are like, have plans, everything's sorted, you've got a schedule. Yeah. Whereas we have LD Max here, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be great, and people appreciate that. Honestly, you watch through the interviews, everyone's just having a lot of fun. Everyone's enjoying their time being spoken to. And what I want to jump a little bit to Tendo a little bit, which is, I mean, you mentioned rubbish PCs, so I have to jump to Tendo because I was talking to him yesterday about rubbish PCs, and he was just like, "Oh, don't even bring up my own PC, please."
Oh my days! Alright, go on.
So I'm sorry, I had to. You're just like,
It's like literally, yeah, as I literally said before, like learn to work with what you have, because there's a lot of people that would just, they decide, yo, I want to make content, stuff like that, and then go straight away like, yeah, let me get the best PC, let me get the best mic, and overall you're just gonna spend a lot of money that who knows, you might even end up wasting. Like, might say, nah, this content thing's too long, man. You have to work with what you have, and then when you are satisfied with what you have and you're able to produce things that make yourself and other people happy, then you get that sense of accomplishment, reward, like achievement. So in yo, like the other materialistic improvements, they will come in their own time. Like, you just have to appreciate what you have and then keep going, because my PC, yeah, as Gems wants to bait out, is not good. It's not really that good. I can't. Okay, it's decent. It's a good PC, but if I can't play Tekken on it, yeah, to you PC gods, it's not good. Okay, that's how it is. I play PS4, like literally. My PC isn't amazing. My mic is decent, but it's not even like a Blue Snowball mic or whatever. It's just a headset I got for like £30, and yeah, I've got no webcam or no cam, but that's gonna stay that way for a bit of time.
So the main point I want to bring with that is it has got a point. Is talking about the amount of hours. A couple of you mentioned the amount of hours it takes to put it in, and the amount of effort creating some of these videos take. Especially for Arya, he's mentioned some of them hours, hundreds of hours, just sitting there planning them.
Well, you know, it's you know, for example, the longest video that we did was Yoshimitsu, and that was like 3 months, 3 months of work to go into.
3 months.
Video is 2.5 hours long, and Yoshimitsu is Yoshimitsu.
Yeah, he's
you know,
complex,
it's yeah, you know, that took a while to kind of, you know, but to write up, to plan out, to record, to edit, especially characters which have lots of, you know, technically challenging things to do, just frames or whatnot. It's, you know, it just takes time. And generally I say 1 minute takes about an hour of editing, but that doesn't include all the planning and writing and checking. And sometimes you do something, oh, that didn't quite work out, I want to change that over. So yeah, it takes time, you know. Making videos takes time.
It definitely does. It's unlike our podcast where I can just say, "Hey guys, show up," and we can talk for an hour. The effort required is vastly different for fully
It's
edited.
a commitment.
Yeah,
It's a serious commitment.
Yeah, it really is. And I got slightly sidetracked there. I had a point. This was all leading to like a very specific point.
So I just gotta jump in.
Go for it.
Yeah. So Blasted Salami. What's your real name?
Arya.
Arya. Okay, Arya. So listening to you, like explaining how much effort goes into it and everything, like it's one question that's like burning in my mind, and that's kind of like, what's driving you? Like, what's motivating you to do all this?
Okay, I mean, you know, when I first started getting into fighting games, competitive fighting games, I was, I mean, the first time I remember clearly, I was in Tehran. The first time I played someone else at a fighting game, that kind of ignited the spark for why I think fighting games are great. I was about 10 at the time, and I always loved the design and the aesthetic of fighting games, ever since Street Fighter 2 when I was a kid. But when I was in Tehran, I used to go there for summer holidays, and there was this kind of makeshift, I can't call it an arcade, but literally in the basement of a computer shop, this guy had hooked up a bunch of TVs to PlayStations, and Tekken 3 had just come out in Japan there, and everyone was like, wow, you know, and people were really getting into it. We were like that was one of the best summer holidays of my life as a kid. I have so many fond memories and of just how this game brought us all together. It wasn't just the game itself, but it was the community that built around the game. And later when I was in university in London, when Tekken 5 and especially when Tekken 6.0 came out, I remember the lot of us just gathering around this cabinet in the Trocadero, RIP. All arcades are RIP now, but
It's long. It's still there technically, but
it's a shell of its.
Yeah.
It's like a palace of broken dreams. It's so depressing to go there. But yeah, it's technically there, but yeah, and so I and when I look back, it's just really like fighting games have affected my life in such a positive way. They've taught me like getting good at one takes discipline and dedication. That's a skill. The friends I've met, the people I've met, lifelong friends. Fighting games are great, and I just I don't want people to go into Tekken and be intimidated by it because they don't understand how to play it. I want them to get into it, and I want that to make that road a bit easier. Yeah, basically, I love fighting games, and I want more people to get into them. It's really that simple. A long-winded answer, but
cool.
Yeah, it's honestly awesome. You're actually leading to the point I was going to make, which is about the sort of the future of content for Tekken, for fighting games as well in general, because we've seen a recent growth in streams, tournament viewerships. I'm not sure about specific statistics on YouTube viewership, but it's been looking better. I know Tendo's recently hit the 20k subscriber mark.
Yeah.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you very much.
But in terms of improving Tekken content as a whole, for viewers, for new people, especially because new people coming in through Twitch streamers, not knowing things like pro players, not knowing sort of inside jokes or how to play the game. So all three of you have sort of different angles, which is perfect for new guys. What do you think, not just yourselves included, what do you think all content creators could do to help Tekken grow as a fighting game in terms of viewership, in terms of YouTube, into any sort of medium?
I think everyone has, everyone has kind of their role. I mean, like, I was mentioning earlier that our channel hasn't uploaded anything, but there are plenty of channels which have more of a kind of off the cuff, here it is right now kind of presentation. That's one bit, like a news outlet for Tekken. There's interviews, which is what Gosu Tekken does. There's jokes, there's video games are fun. You got to share that. And then us, I guess we're more kind of the I don't know, the Discovery Channel format for Tekken. But everyone has their own speciality, and everyone brings something else. Everyone can contribute in their own way. It's the thing with the community. It's not one person. It's many people, different people bringing their individual strengths to a whole. And just do what makes you happy. Create the content that you want to see. Basically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can really agree with all of that, and also there's so much I want to add as well, because it's kind of like the last couple of years because I've been went very deep into marketing and how to actually sell online and just seeing what is actually waiting for Tekken, because it's just a matter of time before someone starts creating sort of interactive ways of learning the game. So what I mean by that,
I have a lot to say about this, but go for it.
So what I would mean by that is for instance a Tekken course, like an online Tekken course, where you can maybe see some sort of material, and then it will be a kind of like a survey or quiz on what you have just seen, or some sort of support group where you can interact with other people that have paid to get into a kind of like VIP area. So Tekken is getting big, and it's getting bigger by the day. I would see the sign that the Green Arcade died as a sign that Tekken is getting even bigger, right? Because that means people are online, and that's exactly what needs to happen for this to grow even more. But it also needs to grow in a way that this is to all the tournament organizers out there. We need to start
Hello.
having like national leagues, and we need to start doing team tournaments. If we want Tekken to grow, we have to start making like 5-on-5s, and then we have to start making like Japan versus Italy, and make this kind of like, even if in the beginning it's going to be kind of like, hey, Korea's going to win, whatever. But for Tekken to grow, this is what needs to happen. There has to be more ways of winning than just being the single best player in the world. So, for instance, you could have like a league for 20 to 30-year-olds or whatever, or you can have a women's league, and this way people can compete and still win without having to be the best player in the world. Just as we do with like soccer or ice hockey, we have different leagues for different levels, right?
Yeah, we personally sort of sit in sort of the middle ground, I believe, so sort of grassroots UK national level. So we've been hosting loads of events online, offline, across of Europe as well. So our online ones are not UK specific. We allow anyone from Europe to take part, which kind of fits that sort of model you're looking for in the short term. But obviously with tournament organizers, there's a whole different ballpark, which is funding, which honestly I think is the main crux of the problem for tournament organizers right now. I think a lot of tournament organizers would jump onto your idea in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is just one side, right? This is the organizer side. But so what can we do? What we can do is we can all take our responsibilities to try to become as famous as possible. Because when we have eyeballs on ours, that means that sponsors want to come in and support us, right? So how do we do that? We can help each other to start streaming more and to understand how to have a good stream or how to have a good content, make YouTube channels and fill out that ecosystem that you're kind of talking about, Arya. So there's still a lot of different paths and lanes to go and where you can carve your path to become an influencer in this space that is kind of growing and growing and growing.
On that note, I forgot to mention completely, we are doing some team-based tournaments coming up. So we're partnering up, I think, with Rise and 200 Knives. And I think there might be others, but those are two confirmed for now teams. So they're going to be bringing in their own teams against sort of ELF members. And we're going to be doing sort of narratives are based around all the different teams playing each other. Just throwing that out there for you, because I think that was the market you're looking at.
And it doesn't have to be like Tekken World Tour or anything. Like creating a little online league, even if it's just your local group or people around you. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I really recommend people create a competitive environment, like a friendly competitive environment. It doesn't take much. Create what's stopping you? Create a little online league right now and get that competitive spirit flowing. There's nothing stopping you really. And the great thing about setting up something like that is that it gets communication rolling. When you're just playing, anonymous on ranked, I think you lose a big part of what makes fighting games special, which is, as we were saying, the community around it. So once you can kind of really communicate to each other, and if you had a tough match with someone, like, okay, tell me more about this character. Whenever we played at the arcades, whenever you'd have a set with someone, you sit down afterwards and you talk like, so what can I do better? What can you do better? That communication, I think, is really key.
It's important. It's really, really important.
Totally.
Like,
So,
to add on to what you're saying, like to what add on to what you're saying, I was saying like playing online and then only getting the satisfaction of playing online, let's say in your room, it's not the same as, let's say, going to an actual, like, there's a place in London called the Red Bull Game Experience Shoreditch, and I've been a few times, and it's really like a fun place to be, like playing with people around you. Now, let's say you've played someone and you lost like really bad, like you're getting humiliated. If that was in your room, like sitting there, you'd be burning, you'd be getting frustrated, embarrassed. But if the same thing was to happen at that place, like you'd feel more, oh, it's in a jokey environment, stuff like that. It's all right. You don't mind it happening. Like even the other way around. Let's say you did the same thing to someone else. It's more laughs and jokes. It's more of a, it adds the community essence like into the game, if you know what I mean. It's just very significant to have, because playing anonymous all the time on your, like by yourself on your ones is really, it's really, I don't know what the word is. It individualizes you from everybody else, knowing that it's only you there. But if you're playing with a community, you've got people to look forward to playing against. You've got people that are looking forward to play against you, and it's just, yeah, just view it as really essential. Like I remember one time, I think this was at Versifying, I fought against Blackbeard, and if we had the session online, like not seeing each other, it would have just been like small chuckles. But we fought each other at Versifying, and we were like strolling, key charging, snake edging each other like first to five. But that was one of the most funniest sets I've like ever had in my life, because everyone around us was laughing. It was just really, 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 really cool, really enjoyable. That is personally to me what makes it so enjoyable. Like the amount of times I've been to I know he's watching the stream right now, shout out to my guy David, but the amount of times I've been to his house, like he's one of my friends from school, and we just bang Tekken, like we just joking around, screaming the house down, stuff like that. It's just, you know, it's fun. It's more fun than playing against somebody online anonymously.
Yeah,
I agree.
I completely. I play with the missus all the time. We've both been up and coming, sort of learning for the past like year or so. So obviously been very huge fans of all you guys' content in terms of learning, in terms of making fun, because all this stuff is you play the characters and then you go, damn, that move, and then you go and see Tendo's video and you just think that move is stupid, but you're laughing about it now. and then you go to Aria's and figure out why it's stupid.
Right, exactly. It's like a whole connection. You understand, like understanding the moves and stuff.
Yeah, I've honestly done that circle too many times, more than I can count. I've gone from one to the other, or from Aria's back to Tendo's, both way round. And you just go, why is that move? Why is Snake Edge a thing? You know, or why is Taunt Jet Upper a thing? Or why is Lars a thing? Recent times.
Hey.
Lars has been normalized. He's back to
he's back to normal.
his regular stuff.
Oh my god. You know what? Lars, that's just discussion for another day, because I feel like if you just gave me the freedom to talk about Lars, I'd be going on and on and on. Like I'm not even on that right now.
You know, I actually picked up Lars recently. I'm trying to learn Lars.
I'm very happy you did. And it's a roller coaster that's going to be amazing for you.
I've dropped about 10 ranks, but it's fine.
Whoa! There's plenty of Lars guides out there. Anyways.
So again, we were talking about, before we all got slightly diverged, about what content creators can do to improve. In terms of specifics of what they can do to improve, I feel like I want to bring up some sort of criticisms I've seen from streamers and things like that. A lot of content creators do struggle to market themselves, I think, a little bit in terms of advertising their own content, getting it out there, especially when they're new content creators. They really do. To be honest, it is rough out there.
It's rough. You need to be very you need to have consistency. You can't expect yourself to be at the top the minute you start. You need to keep going. Like it was only after, I think, because I've started, as I said, when I was like in year 9, like when I was 14, and it wasn't until I was like mid 15 years old, so around the middle of year 10, that's when I started. Like when I made Pro Hwarang, that's when I got serious attention. That's when I got like 1K and stuff like that. But you need to be consistent. You're not gonna get easy like that. It's just gonna have to be a process. And once you commit to the process and you show that you're in it for more of the enjoyment than the overall reward, then you're gonna have more accomplishment. You're gonna enjoy it even more. That's all I have to say, really.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love doing it. I mean, if you don't love what you're creating, it's gonna be apparent in the video.
Exactly.
And you know, you can't expect to just create something and then be a YouTube superstar. I mean,
Exactly.
all of us are all still pretty small, but we're all getting there. We're all working at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, just put your passion through. Just make it shine. You know, that's what it's all about.
Now, one thing as well.
If I can jump in here, and
that's sorry.
Something that I've really have come to understood the last year is that I've been thinking about it kind of like all wrong. I've been thinking kind of like, oh, what's the best content, and if the content is good enough, it's gonna draw people in. But these days, I think of it totally in reverse. I just focus first on getting the audience or getting my zone of influence. So maybe for you, Blasted Salami, that would be your YouTube comments, for instance. So by having that area of interaction, then you can start seeing what people ask and what they want. So that way you can produce the kind of content or the angle that people actually are craving for. Because otherwise you might just get stuck creating the exact content that you only want, and that doesn't work. So even when I had my YouTube channel, I was always reading all the comments and interacting, and I was very like, if it would have been like a very negative space, then I would have stopped uploading the videos. It wouldn't have made any sense for me. But because I was positive and kind of like encouraging people to share what they thought and all that stuff, uh, I could just take all these opinions and all that stuff and uh, and use that to create the kind of content that people want. And that way it becomes a positive feedback loop where you're not creating the content yourself, you're creating it with your audience. And that way it becomes much easier, and you don't even have to spend that much time marketing or advertising yourself if you do it this way. So what I would say to, if you're a beginner watching this and you're like, hey, I want to like grow my audience, so don't think too much about what kind of content you want to create. I wouldn't do that. I would just start my YouTube channel or my Twitch, or and then create the right kind of culture in that zone, so so I can get the momentum going, right? And what I really want to say to people that people are not using social media the way it's meant to be used, right? So start your Facebook group. Everyone should start a Facebook group. I can really tell you that. Start your Facebook group and create this kind of space where people can share Tekken, and then you can be the leader in that zone and start adding content to the group. And the way Facebook is set up, it will just drive people to the group. You don't have to chase people. So I'm predicting this for at least 2 years ahead, that Facebook groups is going to be the next like huge thing.
I will have to actually kind of disagree on you, because I've personally from a it's not that it's I do appreciate the usefulness of Facebook groups, but I feel like if you look at trends of all other games and how the communities are built up, they're the same sort of capabilities are available on things like Discord. People have been using Instagram to great success. I think Rukang's been using Instagram and Twitter to great success. Tons of Discord communities are there. They're huge panels of platforms for people to share videos, share discussions. I think there's Discords for character specific. There's Twitch streamer Discords where they go in and talk and everyone can communicate and talk.
Yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. First of all, you have to remember, how many users does Facebook have? Billions.
The issue is more not about the access to the group, but more about the accessibility and how easy it is to use.
Yeah, that's one thing. But the other thing is that if you are in a Facebook group, if you've noticed, you have this column on the right where you get recommended other Facebook groups. So you're actually getting free advertisement if you have an active Facebook group. So if you create this sort of whatever group you have, you will be seen in other groups on the side. So you have an exponential audience. It doesn't work that way with Discord, and you can't share all the mediums. You can't share video, for instance. So
you can share video in Discord.
I tend to think, I mean, there's a lot of distrust about Facebook recently. A lot of people are leaving it because of privacy concerns, and I personally don't use Facebook very much. It's just something I have. I mainly use the Messenger function on it. What I tend to think of when it comes to social media, I think of Twitter as kind of your megaphone. It's where you can join. I think of Twitter as like a public party, whereas Discord is where you kind of chill out with your mates back at your place. It's more of a kind of it's more private. Between Twitter and Discord, I have all the kind of outreach I need. But Facebook, yeah, definitely. There's you can't argue with those numbers. Billions of people do use it.
The thing I want to say is that at a certain point, people are going to start making money through Tekken. Not only by being top players, but by, for instance, selling a course in how to learn Tekken. So when that happens and people see that this is possible, that's gonna increase the number of users like an explosion, right? Because then everyone is gonna be like, oh, I can do that. Now I don't have to be a top player to earn money. So the platform for doing that is not gonna be Discord. That's not where you're not gonna be able to do Facebook ads to Discord. It's gonna be, everything is gonna be on Facebook. This is the future. I'm 100% sure.
Well, I think that the biggest hurdle towards that is a lot of people are still intimidated by fighting games intrinsically, and I think as a community, we need to make efforts to reach out, not to make it such a closed group, to try and tell people like, yeah, fighting games are tough, but they're not as hard as you think. And I actually think the developers themselves could be doing so much more to address this problem. When I see Tekken and I just see it just has training room and that's it. That's all you have. If I bought Tekken 7 today and I've never played it in my life and I go there, there's absolutely nothing. I really do think developers need to take this issue more seriously. That is the most pressing issue for fighting, not just Tekken, any fighting game.
I agree.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to completely agree with that. I also wanted to quickly, before we diverge a little bit too much, talk about, you're mentioning about Tekken courses and Tekken training manuals. I've done loads of courses and coaching for other games that aren't fighting games. Personally, I've done it for money, for free, for content, all of it, for usually just because I enjoy the game. And I was usually one of the best or in the top area, so I can say, look, my advice is solid. Obviously, I can't do that with Tekken, but that's another story. But a lot of the time, things like that would come through having sort of your own site and your own platform. So people would search Tekken course on Google, and obviously you use Google Analytics and things like that, and your site will come up, or Tekken training, or things like, I want to learn Tekken, and you'll see beginner Tekken course or similar sort of things, but for another game. And that seems to be the more natural approach, I find, for finding stuff.
I think instead of going down the road of courses, I think this kind of learning how to play the game should be in the game itself.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why it's not. Like when Bandai, even when they're releasing these patch notes, you have a bunch of PDFs, and I'm thinking, really? Is this the norm for fighting games? Like, obviously,
no, it's the norm for Japanese companies. That's the thing. It's a Japanese gaming culture, It's a company culture, and it's just the faster we accept it and kind of like, oh, it's up to us, the faster we can kind of like make this work. Because the moment someone does this and Namco can see that this actually works, that people are drawn to this, that will give them an incentive to put it in their game.
Of course.
If I totally agree, and actually, you were mentioning earlier why are you creating content? One of the reasons is I really want Capcom or Namco to see that people want tutorials. They want to learn how to play these games, and it should be presented in the most digestible and kind of entertaining format possible. When people look at tutorials, they think, oh, boring. But whenever we make a tutorial, we try to make it as entertaining as possible, as well as informative. They're not mutually exclusive. Informative and entertaining. You could, you're mentioning interactive. Then totally. If you could go into training mode, select a character, and it took you through their game plan, it showed you their best moves, and you actually use that move in a practice situation, in an optimal situation. If the game taught you how to do it, I think.
So can I ask you?
Go ahead.
So Arya, can I ask you, how compelling does that sound for you to take one of these videos that you create, which are, in my opinion, are masterpiece, but putting it on a online course format where after like a certain number of minutes, it just shows up a couple of questions, and the person watching it will have to answer the questions. Because putting this kind of like test, that will really like make it engaging and interactive, and people are gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be tested on this, so I better like listen up. What do you think about that?
You know, that could totally work, you know. But I don't, you know, I think it's I have to question myself.
That's,
Okay, I'm sure a few people will do that. A few people will be willing to pay, you know, pay for that. But I think
it's
like Bandai
intimidating as
Namco
well.
are, it's intimidating, and people, you know, it's still fundamentally a video game. It's still going to be, you know, only the hardcore will pay for that. I think Bandai Namco are kind of shooting themselves in the foot when they're, I think the main problem is, and it is a Japanese business culture problem, is that they think that if we
Like
put
everyone
this
knows.
information in,
Yeah.
if we put this information in the game, it'll look even more intimidating.
Yeah.
Then people will back off. And I think the reverse is true.
Yeah, I don't mean that you should charge for it, because at the end of the day, I don't think that people will pay for this kind of like Tekken course. What I think people will pay for is a sort of program, a program where kind of like JDCR will take you from green rank to red rank in 2 months, or you get your money back. It's gonna be something like that.
Totally, people are doing that already.
Yeah.
A lot of content creators. I think the main man Sweet. If you go to his Twitch, you know, there's a little button which says, I think, was it $75?
Yeah.
You can get 2 hours of
Yeah.
you know, this kind of stuff is already available. But
But
I still
yeah.
question how mass marketed it is.
Yeah, but it's not scalable, right? Because he's selling his own time. But if he did like a semi-automatic thing where with some videos and then a sort of support group where he answers questions and stuff like that, so he can scale it up. I think if he did that, he could charge way less, right? People would pay a lot less, and he could help a lot more people. And the moment people see that this works, they're gonna be like, hey, the main man isn't actually that good. Like, it's more his personality. So I could do this, and this would kind of start a chain reaction for Tekken to explode. That's what I
Totally.
really think. This is the way.
And that is definitely, you know, there's no one's ever done anything like that. And yeah, you know, having a few Tekken courses out there, definitely, yeah, there's a pocket there. Someone
Yeah.
grab it. You know, yeah.
I agree. There's space for every type of medium there at the moment. But what I keep getting distracted because everyone keeps bringing up such good talking topics. It just naturally flows. I'm like, I have a list, and it's kind of just been thrown out the window at this point, to be honest.
Now, can I say one thing before?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
Nah, because I realized I've just been very quiet. Now I'm just gonna say, like, literally, Tekken it's a very, very difficult game compared to other games. Like, it's a very difficult game. So why would you know, as you said, Arya, why would Namco think it would be intimidating for them to put a tutorial? They'll think, oh, tutorial mode, nah, they'll give up. Nah, it will actually help benefit the game, because if Tekken is a hard game with a lot of mechanics, frames, I didn't know about frames. I didn't like learn about frames properly, like until a long time, and I learned the hard way. Like, why does this guy get to attack when he blocks my move? And I asked someone, I was like, because there's frames. I'm like, no, what are frames? I had to spend a long time, like minus 13. Fam, what does launch punch will mean? What does bound mean? All that stuff. And I was like, okay. See, if they had implemented that in the game in the first place, then it would make the process so much easier. More people would get into Tekken. More people would like be in it, because I've had a lot of friends that bought Tekken 7 on release. Like, a lot of people that I knew, and they were like, yeah, this game's gonna be sick. And then they get to, like, I'm not calling anyone out, but they know who they are. They're my friend. They get to like what, like a let me say initiate or something, and then they're like, nah, I'm giving up. I can't play this game. It's too long. Frames is this. It's like, if they put that in the game and put it in a very simple to understand way, it would seriously benefit. Like, I can honestly imagine Tekken 7 having a separate mode with your like layout of how you put things, Arya, and then it will just make everyone understand, like legit. That's what I think.
I totally agree. And this, when you hear words, sorry, if you, I just one thing I want to say, you say things like frames and whatnot, that's jargon, and people just turn off. You want to
Exactly.
demystify it. You want to demystify it.
Honestly, what I would
So unpleasant to look at. I just think.
what I would say is something
Sorry,
like
Gosu, you want to...
like a training mode or like a game mode in Tekken where you're getting hit by certain attacks and you have to punish it, sort of that sort of thing. So you don't say frames, and you sort of lower the level to more of a game mode with points and we've lost the camera. Oh, what's happened? Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, we seem to have lost Arya's camera.
Sorry.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here. It's we've lost Arya's camera. Yeah.
Okay.
As he comes back, there we go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got off. I think my Discord had a bit of a problem there. Sorry about that.
So I was thinking in terms of like a game mode, so a point system with potential small leaderboards on, purely based on things like punishing moves. So you'll have a character just constantly throwing out different moves, and you have to press. You get different points based on if it's an optimal punish or a less optimal punish. They don't need to know frames. You remove the sort of complexity of information by introducing a game.
So can I just play devil's advocate here?
Yeah, of course.
Go on.
Because I thought about this in the past, like why don't they just release the frame data, for instance? And then I kind of like, oh, maybe that's because that would lower the lifespan of the game, right? Because that would mean that people have one less thing to learn about. So in a way, they're like, we're not going to tell you the frame data. You're going to discover it yourself, because that is the game. The game is this journey of discovery, right? So in a way, if they gave us all this kind of stuff, all that would happen is that they would just move the frontier forward, and then we would kind of whine, why don't they tell us the optimal fuzzy sidestep kind of things? Can you see my point here?
No, I read an interview with Harada where he said literally the exact same thing. He said we want people, and I think that argument would have worked 20 years ago. But nowadays, when you can go to Google and type Tekken 7 frames, and it's right there, that I think in a modern, today that doesn't really, that argument doesn't hold up. I can see, maybe in the 90s when arcade culture was still, alive, you go and how do I beat this move? Well, then your friend tells you sidestep it to the left. Oh, did you know you can press buttons after blocking that? Yeah, but nowadays, just like I said, go to Google.
You have to remember this mainly impacts new players. Existing players obviously don't might have a different angle at this, but this mainly targets people who've just started the game. So and then they give up because it just seems intimidating, or they don't want to learn, or they keep getting beat and they don't know why, so they just give up. And that's very common in a lot of games.
These tutorials that you're talking about, they exist. Like Killer Instinct has an amazing tutorial. Guilty Gear has some really good tutorials. But the problem is, Killer Instinct, Guilty Gear, these are not big names. Until Street Fighter and Tekken pick up the baton, then these ideas won't circulate. The problem is that the big names are not doing tutorials properly, and that's why it hasn't really caught on in fighting games as a whole. It's always the niche ones like Under Night in Birth. And it's a shame, it's I really think if Street Fighter and Tekken started doing these proper tutorials, it would really lift the whole genre. And people are looking towards money coming in from esports and whatnot. It'll help that too. More players, if more people understand your game, more people will play your game, more people will go to tournaments.
More people watch the tournaments.
Right, exactly.
I completely agree, and I think that's it. And I'm honestly been very glad to have you guys on board. I'm not sure if you guys have any last couple comments you guys want to make before piecing out. Do you have any new upcoming videos we should be keeping an eye out on?
Who, me or
anyone?
Yeah, okay. So no, I'll just say, if you've been listening to me ranting about Facebook groups, and if you wanna join mine, you can go to gosutekken.com. So it's a community for people that want to share stuff, and it's not just me. It's everyone is, and I want to say hi to all my community members, and yeah, just hi guys, you're the best.
No, I'm a part of the group. It's really good. It's really good. Great interviews.
Nah, it's been a pleasure being here, expressing our views.
Honestly,
Literally.
it's been a blast having you guys as well.
It's
I
been a
wanna thank
blasted
everyone.
salami.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I've made that pun already.
Oh, you did. I missed it.
Yes,
Want to thank all my guys that
and
have been watching in the group chat as well. They know who they are. Shout out to EE. Shouts to Tekken Zaibatsu as well, all the guys, Scally, Rag 93, Heart, and all that. Shout out to the bot squads. Literally, yeah. Just look out for new stuff in the future. So I have to say, really. And Elf as well. Shout out Elf. How can I forget? And yeah.
Yeah, without people like Vern in the background as well, like he's been awesome organizing a lot of this in the
course.
background. You don't see him that much face to face. You might hear his silky smooth voice sometimes in our tournaments, but that's about it.
It's important. He's an important guy, man. He works really hard, man.
You had a couple of last words, Arya.
yeah, just we have you know, you mentioned upcoming content. We have tons in the works. As I said, we've been writing that season 2 script. Shout outs to Wu Ming, Cowie, Fergus, Phil. Everyone helped me write that script because we literally have about 42 videos in the works, one for each character. A few of them are done already, and yeah, you're gonna start getting about 3 videos a week, every week until they're all done, by about October 20th. Pretty soon.
Nice.
Announcements will be.
So again, thank you guys for it. It's honestly been amazing having you guys
My
on
pleasure.
board.
Tendo, maybe you have some last words.
Me?
Yeah.
I've already. If I was, let me see. Who have a nice shout out?
Who haven't you shot?
It's literally just a shout session, to be honest. Cordell, Heartless, DK, Terrell, literally all the guys. Like, yo, thank you for supporting me so much. It means a lot to know that I've got people, and even you guys as well. Thanks for listening to everything I have to say. It's been a pleasure talking and listening to your opinions as well.
Honestly, it's been
Been
amazing.
a pleasure, guys. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
It's been amazing.
definitely.
My
Thanks.
name's been Gems. I've been your host for tonight's show. Obviously, we've had Tendo, Arya, and LD Max here on the show. It's been a lovely Character Select podcast. So stay tuned for the next one. We have some interesting sort of oldies from Tekken. People have been around here for a very long time in our next episode. Stay tuned.
Peace. Yeah.